VitalHoops is for the culture.
Peace, Jumbo. Welcome to the VitalHoopsPodcast. My name is Fernando Cardenas, aka International XB. I am your host. This is episode number 50. Yes, we made it to 50. So listen, first of all, I want to thank everyone for giving me so much feedback from the last episode. Episode 49 with my brother Trezor Mwanda. That was a good one. It was fun. We talked a lot about basketball, a little reminiscing and all that. And it was well received, so I appreciate all the listeners. As you know, we recently had Diallo Kenyatta on the show. So there's 2 episodes with Diallo. That has also gotten a lot of feedback, so like I said, I appreciate you. Let's keep it going. Today, I will be rocking by myself. And for the next episode, I have another amazing guest coming up. And we're going to get into some more serious stuff, some more crucial things, right? But today, I want to start with basketball. I want to talk a little bit about, obviously we recently seen Luka Doncic score 73. And also Joel Embiid scored 70, right? Obviously, 2 great players, 2 amazing players. But what I do want to say is that, I've been saying this for a while, and it's obvious. The league is discouraging players from playing defense, right? By just making refs call everything, not letting dudes play defense, basically, right? So this is what's happening. But I want to focus on, everyone is focusing on that, the 70-point games, the I believe recently also like a couple players had like 60-point games. We all want to focus on that. That's great. That's amazing. But the amount of 40-point games that are out there, it makes no sense. You know what I mean? There's too many dudes just scoring 40. Like every night you hear some shit. Somebody scored 40. It's like a regular thing right now. And that's not normal. That shouldn't happen in a basketball game. It should be like a once in a while thing. It's not normal for one player to score 40 points in a basketball game. So it's obvious that there is no defense being played, and I don't necessarily blame it on the players because, like I said, that it's a plan. That's the league's plan, is to make it an offensive show because that's what sells tickets, right? So they're making the refs call the game a certain way that, playing defense just kind of penalizes you. So obviously dudes don't play as much defense. So guys are able to go out there, score 40, 50, 60, 70. It's a little too much for me. A little too much. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it's good for the game. I don't think it's good for the game of basketball globally. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame, but nothing to take away from the players. Like I said, great players, great performances, but it's a little too much. So yeah, the NBA All-Star game is coming up February 18th. We'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to checking it out. I watch the All-Star game every year, even though sometimes it disappoints me a little bit. It's still something that I do watch. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how they're going to do this. I don't know if they're going back to East versus West or what. But we'll see. Hopefully it'll be a good game. So recently I saw Giannis Antetokounmpo's documentary, like a short documentary on YouTube. It's called Ugo. I definitely encourage everyone to go check it out on YouTube. It's a short documentary on Giannis called Ugo. I thought it was all right. It was good. Like, it was very well made. You know what I'm saying? It was nice to see him, in Africa. He went back home to Nigeria and all that. I believe it was his first time going back. So it was nice. And obviously it was well produced. So it was dope to see all these images and all that. But one part that did stick out for me was when they spoke about Fela Kuti over there, right? So they were talking about, the arts, the artists from Nigeria and all that, the music, talking about how great Nigerian people are, which they are. And so they mentioned Fela Kuti. Now, obviously, I'm a huge Fela Kuti fan, but not just because of his music. This is one problem that I have, and that happens constantly. We see the same thing happen with Bob Marley, right? Which I'm gonna get into in a minute. But yeah, so they spoke about Fela Kuti, right? And they're like, yeah, great musician, amazing musicians, and they show a couple of photos of Fela Kuti and everything, but they don't mention not one word about his politics, nothing. You know what I mean? So I wish, and this could have been a perfect instrument, you know what I'm saying? Because Giannis being the big time player that he is, his documentary will get to a lot of people. So this would have been really perfect to introduce, you know, the ideology and the politics of Fela Kuti to the world. That would have been so dope, you know, but I don't know if Giannis even knows about it, to be honest. You know, I wish he did. I wish he looked into that. But yeah, it's a shame, you know, the fact that, you know, Fela Kuti was a revolutionary Pan-Africanist, and they're not able to mention that, but they mentioned him to the fullest, you know. So I wish they could have used that opportunity to bring that up. But anyway, yeah, check out the documentary. It was nice. And speaking of, like I said, Bob Marley, now his movie, One Love, is coming out. Some people may have already seen it, right? But I believe the official release date is February 14th. Now, this is like bittersweet. Like, obviously, I'm a big time Bob Marley fan. Again, just like Fela Kuti, not just him, but not just his music, but him, because once again, Bob is also a revolutionary, or was also a revolutionary Pan-Africanist. You know, so I know I'm gonna be disappointed with this movie, because I know there's a lot that's not gonna be shown, unfortunately. A side of Bob that needs to be shown, but that's always kind of held back. You know, his situation is kind of like Dr. King, right? Who was also a revolutionary. Dr. King was a revolutionary. You know what I mean? But he's extremely well known, but not understood, because there's a lot of misinformation on Dr. King, or the way they present him. You know, they don't present him as a revolutionary. And the kind of the same thing happens with Bob, you know. So, you know, I've seen, like, recently there's a whole, you know, there's promotion everywhere. Bob Marley, One Love, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, it's all about peace, love, and music, right? Which it is, but you know, Bob believed in fighting for that peace. We got to fight for freedom. That's how we get it. It's not just, you know, everything is beautiful, kumbaya, so we smooth peace and smoke weed. No, that's not what Bob was on. Bob was about the struggle, you know what I'm saying? And I don't think, I have not had the opportunity to see it yet, so don't take my word, you know, maybe go watch the film, but I don't think we're gonna see that in the film, you know, and that hurts for me. It hurts me, because I wish we did, especially because I see his sons are also involved in that. You know what I'm saying? So I wish they put a little more, you know, of Bob's militant side on that. That's necessary. We need that today. We need that today. So yeah, what I want to do real quick, because everybody knows Don't Worry About a Thing, you know, and One Love, One Heart, that's the song of the movie and all that. You know what I'm saying? Let's get together and feel all right. All that is great, you know, but Bob was a revolutionary in his acts, you know, in his acts, and how he carried himself, in what in his ideology and what he believed in, right? But I want to read some of his lyrics also, because sometimes we forget. So for example, you know, there's lots of examples, you know what I'm saying? Like, his music was powerful, but you know, that's not necessarily what we see or hear. But you know, Bob had in his, you know, song War, he said, you know, he said, it's a war, and until that day, the African continent will not know peace. We Africans will fight, we find it necessary, and we know we shall win, as we are confident in the victory of good over evil, you know. And I believe that was a Haile Selassie speech, you know what I'm saying? But Bob saying that, you know, the way, I love that song. That's one of my favorite tracks, and he really feels it, you know, as he's singing it. So that's a dope one. There's lots of examples. I'm gonna read from another one of his songs. In Revolution, he says, it takes a revolution to make a solution. You know what I'm saying? Too much confusion, too much frustration. So you know, he was always on that. He was always about the message. You know, in Zimbabwe, He said, every man has the right to decide his own destiny. And in this judgment, there is no partiality. So arm in arms with arms, we'll fight this little struggle, because that's the only way we can overcome our little trouble. Brother, you're right. Brother, you're right. We gonna fight. We'll have to fight. We gonna fight. Then he says, Natty Dread set it up in Zimbabwe. Mash it up in a Zimbabwe. Africans will liberate Zimbabwe. See what I'm saying? You know, in Burning and Looting, another one of my favorite tracks. You know, he talks about police brutality. He opens up. You know what I'm saying? This morning I woke up in a curfew. Oh God, I was a prisoner too. Could not recognize the faces standing over me. They were all dressed in uniforms of brutality. Yeah, so like I said, Bob was a Pan-Africanist. He was a revolutionary Pan-Africanist. I remember listening to one of his interviews where they're like, do you consider yourself more Jamaican or African? And Bob clearly said, I'm an African. You know what I'm saying? That's where we come from. I'm an African. So like I said, I hope all this shows in the new film, but unfortunately, I don't think it will. And like I said, it was his acts too, but I'm not gonna get into all that right now. But yeah, Rising Power with Bob Marley. And I'm still gonna go check out the movie. And I hope it's good, you know. Now I want to talk a little bit about hip hop. All this kind of ties in, you know, because in today's social media world, there's so much. We're living at an all-time high when it comes to propaganda and misinformation. So the important thing today, it is crucial to have the ability to critically think, you know, and process information. It's just not enough. It's not enough to read, you know, or to go to school, because we have people that are, you know, highly educated, quote unquote educated, and they're just completely lost 100%. You know, and other people that are not educated that get all their info from, you know, short online clips and things like that, and that are also lost. Because like I said, it's both. It's propaganda and it's miseducation. So yeah, we gotta constantly, you know, educate ourselves, but also work on critically, you know, digesting this information. All the information that we get, we're getting too much information today. In today's information age, we're getting too much information. We're constantly bombarded with information. So we got to work with all that, you know, and we constantly each got to do better, and we got to be able to unplug sometimes, you know, and that's when also, you know, the whole health and wellness thing comes in, you know, because we got to be able to unplug. We got to be able to really be in touch with ourselves and who we are in order to not get lost in this whole, you know, in this whole system, because it can be overwhelming. That's why we also have so many people with, you know, depression, etc. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, I want to talk about a little bit about the whole Drake and Yasiin Bey thing, right? Yasiin Bey, aka Mos Def, one of the greatest MCs to ever pick up a microphone. Definitely Mos Def. A lot of youth today will tell you that Drake is one of the greatest MCs of all times. I've heard certain people say he's the best, which is mind-boggling in my opinion. That's crazy. But yeah, I'd definitely say Mos Def one of the greatest. I do believe Drake is a talented MC. You know, he's a talented rapper. He's good. He's a good rapper. He can rhyme. He's witty. He has bars. He's good with it. He has talent. You know what I'm saying? But now, basically, for those of you who don't know, Mos Def was on an interview, which is rare, you know, and he was asked about Drake, and they asked him, "Is Drake hip hop?" You know what I'm saying? And Mos Def said that Drake was pop, which he's right. Drake is pop. You know, I didn't think saying that was wrong at all. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that. He's saying the truth. And he kind of talked about how it's basically shopping music. Drake is kind of like shopping music. And it is, you know, Drake embodies the status quo. He embodies everything that goes along with capitalism. You know, he's a celebrity, right? He's a celebrity. And to me, I agree with most. This is not what most said. These are my words, but you know, when you embody the status quo, you can't be hip hop. That is not hip hop, because hip hop was created from a people that were struggling against this system, against the status quo, right? So you can't be the opposite and be part of it. You can't be the opposite and be part of the culture and be the culture. right? And this is the conversation that I have with a lot of young artists today, is that a lot of artists today think it's just about talent, and it's not. When it comes to the culture, there's more to it than talent. You understand what I'm saying? There's a lot more to it than talent. Of course, talent is important. Of course, it's extremely important to work on your craft in order to become a better MC. But there's more than technique and bars and wittiness and flow. There's more to it than that. You know what I'm saying? If we're talking culture, if we're talking hip hop, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot more to it than that. So then Drake came back by saying, yeah, I thought Umi said, shine your light, you know, don't change up on me, this and that. And then eventually Mos Def basically said that he was open to conversation, that Drake could hit him up or whatever. And I think that was cool. I don't see a problem with Mos saying that. But if Drake does contact Mos Def, I hope Mos tells him, like, listen, it is what it is. I just hope he doesn't back down, because he's right, in my opinion, too. You know, hip hop means something. You know what I'm saying? The culture means something. It's about resistance. And I want to quote another one of the greatest MCs to ever live, in my opinion, Wise Intelligent, from the legendary Poor Righteous Teachers. And he recently posted a couple of dope quotes on Instagram. He said, stop seeking validation and approval from a world our art form was created to challenge. Right? So, like I said, like I was just saying, our art form or our culture was created to challenge this. It was created. It's about the cult. It's about the struggle, right? So we shouldn't be seeking validation from this system, from this industry, from these corporations, right? And then Wise Intelligent also said, hip hop music and culture was created out of a struggle that we're still in. Don't let all this expensive shit fool you. And that's the message that all these young, successful rappers need to listen to, man. They need to understand the struggle is still alive. You know, the political prisoners are still locked up. You know what I'm saying? The organizations are still working. You know what I'm saying? The people are still doing the work. We're seeing the oppression worldwide. I know everybody can see it in their own neighborhoods. You know, as Black people, we can see it around the globe in our neighborhoods. But also you can see it in Palestine. You can see it in the Congo, right? This is what we're all fighting against, you know. This is all part of the struggle. So don't let this expensive shit fool you, right? Don't let these nice cars or nice jewelry and all this bullshit. When we talk hip hop, we're talking about a culture of resistance, period. So yeah, you know, I would love to hear some of y'all opinions. Please put it in the comments, you know, anything that you have to say about this. But you know, also there was recently an article written in a Rolling Stone magazine talking about 50 years of hip hop, and they were questioning if hip hop is still radical, right? And it was a good article. I definitely recommend y'all to check it out. You know, Rolling Stone, you can see it online. You know, they were talking about how, like, KRS-One, you know, going from 30 Cups or More, and, you know, Black Cup, and all these tracks that he would make about police brutality, which is what hip hop is about, you know, that resistance, the reality of what our people are going through, you know. But then he recently was calling Mayor Eric Adams, you know, the mayor of hip hop and all this bullshit. You know, Eric Adams being an ex-cop and a big time supporter of NYPD, you know what I'm saying? And he's over there talking about he's the mayor of hip hop and all this bullshit, you know. So yeah, it's a shame to hear, you know, some of our pioneers like KRS-One do shit like that. But it is what it is. But like I always say, hip hop is alive. It will always be alive. As long as the struggle continues, hip hop continues. And yeah, due to so much, like I said, once again, so much propaganda and misinformation, we gotta dig. We gotta dig underground in order to find it, in order to find the culture, in order to find the people. You know, the real hip hop is the same where you're gonna find the struggle, the organizations working. You know, a lot of people will tell you, yeah, it's not the 70s anymore. You don't have all these organizations working. Now they out there. And it's disrespectful to say that the work is not being done, because there's people working. You know what I'm saying? People are underground, people are doing the work. And it's the same with hip hop. Hip hop is out here. It'll always be here and alive. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so real quick before I go, I do want to mention and encourage y'all to learn more about this here that's going on right now in Africa. ECOWA, the Economic Community of Western African States, which is basically an economic union of Western African states. So recently we had 3 countries leave the union, right? So that's Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. So I'm sure you've heard of these 3 countries before, and they're making a lot of noise. And the beautiful thing is that they got out of there and they said, listen, they said, we're Pan-African. They said, any African that wants to come here is home, is welcome. That's what Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso said, right? So that's, we have to keep on following this, keep on following everything that's going on in Burkina Faso, in Niger, and in Mali, because they're standing up. They're standing up against the powers of colonialism, and we have to support that, you know, until further notice. Listen, still free Palestine, free Congo, free Sudan, you know, Haiti, long live Haiti, Kupete Boulekai. And oh yeah, before I go, 2 things real quick. First of all, if you don't know, I have said this before, but if you don't know, I work with a Pan-Africanist organization called the Pan-African Ligue UMOJA, LPU, you know, and we have our own magazine, the Pan-African, you know, which is in French, but it is digitally available. The new edition just dropped, which is number 27. So please, if you have the possibility, support us. I'm going to have the link of the Pan-African magazine, you know, down in the bio. We're a 100% independent or Pan-Africanist revolutionary organization. So yeah, if you can support us, that'll be great. And the second thing I wanted to mention, I am a part of this new project named HABANA NEGRA, which means Black Havana. And for those of you who speak Spanish, because this will be in Spanish, we're gonna be talking about everything that's going on in Cuba, but from a Pan-Africanist perspective, right? This doesn't exist. There's no such show on YouTube talking about Cuba, about the situation in Cuba, Cubans, because it's 3 of us, all Cubans, from a Pan-Africanist perspective, right? So the first show is gonna drop real soon, but it is in Spanish. Right here on the Vital Hoops podcast, I will still be mentioning and talking about Cuba, but you know, this is key. This is important for our people, and so I'm glad we're doing this. Habana Negra, presented by Guerrilla Republic Cuba. So be on the lookout for that. I am gonna put the link also to the YouTube channel, and that's it. Like I said, thank you for rocking with the Vital Hoops podcast for 50 episodes. Please like, share, subscribe. We need your support. That's how you can support us if you enjoy this at all. If you get anything out of this, please, like I said, like, share, subscribe, comment, you know what I'm saying? And that's it. Vital Hoops is for the culture. Uhuru.